Pastors, are you having problems with your church sound? For instance, feedback problems, or you have where the volume's too loud either for the music or too low for the vocals, or a combination of the two? Do you have volunteers with little or no experience working on your sound ministry of music or your media ministry on Sunday morning? And they have little or no experience, and so they get in there and they start pushing buttons and doing things, or you tell them it's set and don't touch anything. But the problem happens when someone sings that's a little bit louder, or someone that's have a softer voice, they don't know what to do. My name is Brian Cochran, and I have been in the sound business now for 45 years. And I install, sell, and train for churches and businesses, and we have an event company that we produce. We have a sound, we provide sound and lighting and video for events. And in the process of doing church installations, in most cases, they have a volunteer staff in most cases, and we do some basic training to kind of get them started. Then we tell them to go to YouTube, and then or someone new comes in and they have to start all over again, or the person that we train can't be there all the time, and then you have a deacon or a minister or women's department. Somebody wants to do an event and they don't know what to do, and they come in and touch buttons, and then when it comes back to Sunday morning, you have a challenge. Well, one of the things that I did, again, as I mentioned a second ago, I wrote a book called Startup Guide to Church Sound and Video, and in that book it kind of goes through all the steps to set up your sound and so forth. But I found that if the person buys a book that's in the church, or the church buys a book, then the person leaves, they take the book with them, or the book gets lost or whatever, or again, it may be a little bit, I wrote it from a technical point of view, part of it because I wrote it kind of as a startup guide, but at the same time set it up for those that want to take it on to a career and really learn how to do it and so forth. So anyway, one of the things that we decided to do in this year, because of COVID and opening up churches again, that churches are having the problem like a lot of folks are having, that they are trying to find volunteers or trying to find staff to come in and work, and there's nobody to work. So what we decided to do is we put together a course, and it's called Church Sound 101, and it's through our company called BA Mogul Academy, our ministry called BA Mogul Academy. And you're wondering, what is BA Mogul Academy? Well, it's again a brainchild, a thought, a concept that the Lord put in my heart to do, to train in audio, video, technical side, church development side, and business side, to help with the church, to build the kingdom of God, and have the resources to help them by when I do certain things. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I have these resources and I always want more help. So I figured that now we're going to go to the next level, start the academy. And the academy is both online and offline, so it's available to those that will have a desire to take one of our courses or many of our courses that we're offering. We'll be teaching the basics of audio, and we'll go into more detail on step-by-step course for non-techies to learn about audio techniques and building a great team of people to help with your audio department, and that way when volunteers come in, another person that's there can train and so forth and so on, and at the same time they'll be able to come in and be proficient enough to be able to carry a service when they go through our training. One of the things that several things that our course is going to be doing. One is teaching people how to teaching those that are participants or students on how to set up a system, because again, the basics is how systems work, how they come together, and so that they understand how the system comes together. So this will help with also troubleshooting. We'll also be going into miking and between vocals and instruments, because there's a different way of mixing vocals and instruments and different EQs and so forth, settings that are needed in order to do both. You may have a soprano and then you have a mix for a baritone, and the mix is going to be off because they have two different voices, or you have a light voice and a dark voice, or you have a bass guitar or drums or whatever, that learning how to mix those are going to be important to do a great mix. Which microphone you should use. I've been working with some churches where they have instrument mics where they should be using vocal mics, and they don't know the difference, but they bought it because it was inexpensive, cheaper than the vocal mic, but there is a difference. And so we'll be going through different mics, different mic placement and that kind of stuff as well within the church, so that way you know where to set the microphones up, how to set them up, and what kind of microphones to use. We'll be going into speaker systems because, again, when we've come in at times, we may not have installed the initial system, but we'll come in to do a repair or come in to upgrade a system if it's a mixer or something else, and the speakers are already in place. Part of the challenge we find is that a lot of churches, especially smaller churches, will put the sound system, put the speakers where it's convenient and easy to put up because they don't know any better. And so they wonder why they have feedback problem and challenges with the sound because of it being behind the stage instead of out in front, or where the speakers need to be placed, so that we have optimum sound for your congregants who are coming to church or events that you're having at your church. We'll also be talking about the difference between house speakers, front of house speakers, and something called monitor speakers. We'll be going to that as well, so you'll know the difference between the two and what's needed to operate both. We'll go into Mixing 101, which is basic mixing skills and learning how to do a basic mix, so that way you understand the concept of a blend. What is a blend? How to group on the board, learning how to work the board. And when you learn how to work the board, there's certain things that you can do to make it easier for a person that's there. Or say, for instance, you can have it set up where you can have one or two lines that will go up and down based upon it'll either do part of the mix or the whole mix, so that way it'll help with a person like a deacon, or you have a mother's board meeting or a youth meeting and your audio person can't be there, so we can have it set up for a basic mix for them to be able to use it for an outside event or a different event versus just on Sunday morning. So they'll learn how to put these things together to make it easier for you to do ministry in your church. We'll also be going through eliminating feedback. I mentioned a little while ago with speaker systems, but there's also a challenge on if you add monitor speakers or bad speaker placement or bad mic placement causes feedback. And if you don't know what it is, then you just turn it down or whatever. But there's things that can be done either through equipment or through equalization, depending on the type of equipment and mixer that you have, that will show the students how to eliminate feedback, so that way that loud screeching sound that you hear will help your person, your students, and that will be your sound techs, to learn how to eliminate feedback. And then much more. One of the things that we'll be going through as well is that we're going to be going through audio for streaming, because we find that it's a whole separate course that we offer, but at least the basics on what it takes to do it, because we found that a lot of churches will try to go out on the main feed and they're wondering why the sound sounds so bad on the stream mix versus the mix that's in the house. And so there's some reasons why, which I won't get into, but those are some of the things that we'll be teaching as well, and some of the latest equipment that's available and latest techniques that are available that we'll go into as well. As I mentioned earlier, I wrote a book called Startup Guide to Church Sound, which will also be our textbook for the course. Each student will get a book, and then also it's available for download for PDF, so they have it on the phone as well. If you're coming as a church and you're sending several people, we'll have a group rate available for those churches for a group rate, and then we'll also make it available for the church to also get a hardback copy, as well as available for PDF, that they can make as many copies as they want to. So that way when a sound person leaves, you get another person in, they can have the book, and then we can also work out, because you've also gone through our course and you're plugged into our ministry, that you'll also be able to, at a discounted rate, come back and bring your other students to our academy. We are be starting our course, our Church Sound 101 course on April 11th, 2020, and we're excited about that. So mark it on your calendar. If you want more information, go to bamogulacademy.com. There's BA Mogul. It's on the screen. bamogulacademy.com, or you can call us at 951-987-5145. I'll be doing more videos and talking about it more and more, and also probably contacting churches as well to let you know that our academy is up and running and that you will be able to take our course. One of the cool things that we're doing is that we're going to be offering it at 3 different locations. One's in Pomona, one's in Upland for the Inland Empire, and then one in Orange County to get started. And then we're working on a location in Los Angeles and Pasadena. So we'll have several locations that we'll be training. Part will be virtually. The practicum, or the practical part of the course, will be done in person. So if you are away, you can take it online, and then what can happen is certain parts that we'll do can be done through a Zoom type of situation where we can go back and forth and see what you're doing and walk through some of the processes if you have a different board than the boards that we're using. So that way there's some basic commonalities with every board and every church and every mix and every speaker, but then there's some nuances with each mixer that you have that does certain things or a different. They do the same thing but a different way. So again, we will be starting on April the 11th, 2020. Go to bamogul.com, bamogulacademy.com. That's bamogulacademy.com.